Close your eyes, palms together. Seek the blessing from all your God and goddesses. Circle your done. Slowly open your eyes. Okay. Today we are going to see the remaining, not remaining, the other bhavas of the Saturn. We had the three in our agenda. First thing, we are going to see the Gocharam. Second, we are going to analyze the horoscope. Third, we are going to get into our lessons. Okay, these are the three things today. Let's quickly get into the today's Gocharam. Guru in the Rishabha, Mangal in the Mithuna, Chandra and the Ketu in the Kanya, Sunny in the Kumbha, Buddhan, Shukran, Surya and Rahu, four Grahas in the Meena Rasi. Okay, Panja, Vidya followed by the Tridya today, Nakshatra Hasta followed by the Chitra. Yoga Vriddhi Dhruva, Karana is the Garaja, Vanija and the Vishti. Vidya Rabivara, Paksha is the Krishna Bhakti. Okay, I'll quickly get into the horoscope because something we have to discuss. I felt it will take a time. So I get into the horoscope very quickly. We are discussing about the Satish horoscope. We already know about these details. And I quickly move into the thing what we have to discuss today. Okay. The code form is wrong. When I say the Kocharam, I remember the one thing which is asked in the group. What is the Prasanam? The Prasanam is also one of the. Imagine a situation. Nowadays only the peoples are properly recording the birth date and time. In early days also they did. But in my father and mother's time, they won't consider this one as a big deal. They just remember the date of birth only. They won't give that much importance to the time of the birth. When I saw the many peoples like that only. So when the people they didn't have the time of the birth, or they know just their date of birth only, they didn't have an exact time of the birth. The people are also doing about exactly finding the time of the birth. I still find it's only the approximation. If you didn't have the time of the birth, or you didn't have an idea about when I born, what is the time, the best option is you can go for a prasanam. Prasanam is nothing. There are the various of prasanam. One is the Jamakul prasanam, Tampula prasanam. Jamakul is the based on the Kocharam only they predict the things. But here they additionally involved the Jamakul Graham also. Entirely there was a different technique altogether. They use that kind of the technique for the prasanam, and they use the choli prasanam. I hope everybody knows what is choli.
Vanita, when you say prasannam, is it like question?
Yeah, it's a prasanam means the moment when you ask the questions.
Okay, got it.
It is considered you have a burning question in you, and you go to that astrologer and he asks you that question. They take that moment. The prasanam is you getting an answer for that moment. But how they will use the prasanam is most all the prasanam depends on the kocharam. So that's why I always give the importance to the kocharam. You have to understand what is kocharam, what is the daily planetary motion. So they derive the analysis based on the kocharam only, but the techniques are different. Somebody used the Jamakul, somebody used the Choli Prasanam. They threw the Choli across the board and they find out where the Choli was landed, which Tazi Choli was mostly occupied. They use other different kind of techniques altogether. And
Jolly means, is it kavade? That
Choli means, I don't know how to say in English.
You use it for playing, right?
Yes.
And kavade. Okay. That is called kavade in Kannada. Okay.
Yeah. And the other one was the tambulam. Tambulam is the betel leaves. They ask the people when they come for the prasanam, they have to buy the bunch of the betel leaves. Buy or they can get from the home also bunch of the betel leaves. And when they give it to the astrologer, based on the beta ellipse, how the beta ellipse was presented to the astrologer, they find out the prasanam according to that. And here also, the Kocharam plays the biggest role. And there are the Astamangala Prasanam, there are the various things or prasanam were used by the astrologers. These kind of the techniques, which is really, really useful for the people who didn't have an idea about what is my time of birth, what is my date and time of the birth. It's only I know only the approximate numbers. Then these people can go for this kind of an approach. It's really, really helpful. Okay, one this is options available. But if when someone asks me, Vanita, what is your best way? My best way was little bit different. I use the tarot reading when the people's were asking. They say I didn't have a date of birth, time of birth, and I want to know what is happening. And this is my question. And I use the tarot reading. I hope I remember I told you about the Soundary Legri to learn about the Soundary Legri. There is the wide range of similarities between the Soundary Legri and your tarot reading. The tarot reading is a kind of you reading the symbols from the card. The energy level was totally different. The moment when the people were asking the questions and the card comes out, and the energy you receive from the cosmos is completely different, and you derive the answer from it. The entire analogy is quite different from this, but you can combine the tarot with the astrology. That was the beauty in it. It depends upon the people. It depends upon the individual, whichever they believe. Okay, from this way I can find an answer or not. But if someone asks me, I would say tarot is the best. Okay.
So, what, according to you, is the percentage of accuracy with tarot reading versus astrology?
Okay. Everything was have its own pros and cons.
Okay.
But the tarot is also supposed with the same. The tarot is completely depends upon the reader. Whoever reads the tarot, the energy the reader was holding, that the answer will comes out like that. Imagine a situation the tarot reader was not centered himself or herself, and they try to go for a reading, and they won't get a correct answer from it. Whenever the tarot reader touch the card or they use any kind of the medium for the tarot reading, they should be centered yourself. They should not have the judgment, and they exactly project whatever it comes to them. But when it comes into an astrology, everything was mostly it's an approximation. Now you can ask, Manita, it's a tarot is an exact thing. No, it's an approximation, but it's mostly depends upon the reader also. Whichever way you believe. When the individual was believing, no, I believe in a prasanam. If someone I had a friend who believes in prasanam only. It depends upon the individual because their energy level is exactly matched with that kind of vidya. So I always go with whatever the individual prefers. My individual preference is like this, but when you find it, you may also find out, okay, this is my preference, I want to go with this. Okay. But the
Thank you,
techniques are
Anita.
altogether different, entirely different. When you read the tarot, when you go for a prasanam reading, the technique was completely different. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's come back to the house today. Somewhat I remember the question, so that I answered that. Okay, come back to here. When now we are going to detail about the sixth house. It's a little bit complicated today. I may confuse you. So this is all the disclaimer I said in the beginning. Okay, now getting into the sixth. Anybody remember what is the sixth house?
The disease
Only
and enemies,
enemies.
enemies,
Hmm.
disease,
Hmm.
and
One more.
one more item. Enemy of accidents,
Roga,
obstacles,
Ripu, Runa. So, enemies.
accidents,
No, it's a depth.
obstacles.
Yeah, your answer is correct. It's a Roger-Reiner report. That means your loans, enemies, and whatever the debts you have, whatever the enemies you have, whatever the diseases you have. So these are the three main things. When it comes into the sixth house reading, there's all the three things you have to give important. What is that? The disease, the loans or the debts in your hand, and the enemies. These are the three main things whenever you read for the sixth house. And the other one is that this is just curable. Importantly, this curable. When it comes into the eighth house, if you see any disease on the eighth house, it will be the long period of the disease, and you have to be survived. You have to be survived with that, and it may not curable. It's kind of the lifelong disease. But when it comes into the sixth house disease, that disease is curable. It's completely curable and preventable. And it's the uncles which you come from your mother's side. Okay, this is an important thing. The fourth point is the partner's losses, or whenever you're doing a joint business, there you encounter any kind of the losses that is also represented in the sixth house. Why? Because that is a 12th house for your seventh house. You remember the seventh house is for your all partners. It can be your colleagues, it can be your business partners, life partners, everything. So the sixth house becomes the 12th house for the seventh house. So that is why it also represents the loss of the partners. You remember, this is the seventh house and this is the sixth house. When you count from here, the sixth house becomes the 12th house for the seventh house. So this one destroys this one. This much clear? Okay. And sixth house is also for your servants. And sixth house is also for your father's job. And it also represents your job. And it also represents your father's job. What is that? How it will be? It becomes the 10th house from your ninth house. Ninth house represents your father. And 10th house represents your profession of your father. So here, the sixth house is also represents profession of your father. Suppose in case if your father did his own business or he own any kind of the business, that is also represented in the sixth house. And sixth house is also represents your job. You work under somebody, okay? But your 10th house represents your own business. Whenever you give salary to the others, that is represented in your 10th house. This difference is clear?
Yeah.
Okay. This much we are going to see. So there are many significance for the sixth house. When you are increasing your horoscope reading, you can increase the number of significance for the every houses also. At this moment, keep that in mind. The sixth house for the Roger Renew report. So that means your loans, debts, enemies, and the diseases. If you want to limit yourself with these three things, that is totally super. Okay. Now let's see about this all the sixth house. Now when you are reading for the Satish horoscope, the sixth house, who's the owner for the sixth house here?
Mars. Mars.
Awesome. Okay. So here the Mars is the, let me go here. The Mars is the owner. Mars is also owned one more house. Which house it is?
That is Mesha. Mesha.
So that means the sixth house and the 11th house owned by the Mars, that becomes the sixth house for the Satish. Okay, this much clear? Okay, in the sixth house, there are the three planets in it. Mercury, which is retrograde, Ketu, and the Sun. Okay, now we are going to see the little bit complicated subject that is called the Grahas conjunction. That means when the combination of the Grahas, how we can find out. You may have the 4 grahas, 5 grahas also, but how we can find out which one, which two combination you have to take into account. That one we have to see today. Okay, the first thing what you have to do when the 3 grahas present in one raski. Now for the Satish sixth house having the 3 grahas, Mercury, Ketu, and the Sun. Arrange these 3 grahas in the degree wise. What is the meaning of the degree wise? Mercury retrograde was at the degree of the 9.53, Ketu at 11.70, Sun at the 24.55. Okay. Now, based on the ascending order, arrange the graph. First, arrange the grahas in the degree wise. Okay, now we arrange them. The first step was finished. We take the pen. The first step was finished. This much clear? We didn't do any miracle here. We arranged the grahas in the order of the degree wise. So once that job was done, now we are going to see which one is going to touch the other. Okay, now the one Mercury which is going to touch the 11th degree Ketu, then the Ketu is going to touch the Sun. So what is the combination you have here? The Mercury and the Ketu combination, Ketu and the Sun combination. This much clear?
When you say touch, what does it mean? How do I recognize that?
Okay.
Just by the degrees, is it?
Remember this one is a 9.53, right?
Yeah.
And Ketu was the 11.17. So that means the Mercury is going to touch the Ketu. That means when at the time of when Satish was born, the Mercury was retrograde. But when Satish was grown up, the Mercury is good. Okay, we don't need to confuse that much. Imagine as considered this is the one which is the lowest degree in this, and you have to see which graha is next highest degree.
Okay.
The next highest degree, Ketu is the next highest degree for Mercury. Don't consider Mercury to Sun. Okay, because why? The Ketu was in between. So consider Mercury to Ketu first. One combination. This is one combination done. Then Ketu, what is the next highest degree for the Ketu? Which is 24.55. Now, we are going to consider the Ketu and the Sun as the second combination. This much clear?
Yeah.
We ordered the grahas based on the degree. Then next step is find the first graha, find the next graha, next degree for that graha. The graha currently, which is Mercury 9.53, find the next degree, which is the 11.17. So Mercury Ketu combination. For the Ketu, which is the next degree, Sun, which is 24.55. So this much clear?
Yeah.
Okay, now we are going to do the second step. What is that? Mercury is the owner of two houses. Which one it is?
1 and 4.
1 and 4. So the Mercury is the owner of the first house and the fourth house. So that means first house and the fourth house is also having an impact of the Ketu. So that means the Mercury Ketu is going to have an impact on the first house and the fourth house. We'll see that later. Okay, now we'll finish with this flow. We'll move on to see the Ketu towards the Sun. Sun owns which house?
Simha.
Third
house. Third house, right? So Sun, third house. So the third house and the Ketu combination. So now we are going to see. First thing, one important rule about the retrograde grahas was the Ketu is a retrograde graha, yes or no? Naturally retrograde graha. Now for the Janana Jadakam for the Satish, Mercury is retrograde here. Okay. The one important thing about the retrograde grahas is one retrograde graha won't form other retrograde graha. It always give the goodness to the other retrograde grahas. For Satish, these two becomes good to each other because this is the retrograde. Mercury is retrograde. Ketu is naturally retrograde. So both retrograde grahas are good to each other. Okay, let's find out. Satish is present. I think Satish is here in this meeting, right?
Yeah, I'm there, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll check with him whether it is good to him or not. Did you study well? Mercury was, anybody remember what is the significance of the Mercury?
Intelligence.
Intelligence and your education.
Education.
Your document handling, accounts handling, everything comes under the Mercury. And for the relationship, which one relevant to the Mercury?
Younger siblings.
Younger siblings. Okay. Then
And
your maternal uncle also for
yes.
the book. Okay. Now let's check with him. How is your studies? Did you study well?
Initially, I was very bad up to 5th standard. After 5th standard, I started shining.
Okay. that means up to 5th standard, what is the problem? There is you're not able to study, or you are not interested in study, or there was a break in your studies.
No. I became better. I was shining, I said.
Okay, from the 5th standard to further studies, you were very much good,
Very
right?
much good. I was on top 10 rankings.
Okay. So that means his education was not disturbed. Whatever we learned was correct only, because the Mercury retrograde and the Ketu was also retrograde. It won't disturb in his education. Imagine a situation, the Mercury is not retrograde and combined with the Ketu, that will give you the obstacle in his studies, and it also give obstacle in his love and romance. Okay, let's check with him that one also. Do you have any uh, involved in a romance in your teenage and after your
No,
adult?
not like that, but I had many friends.
You had many friends, okay.
Romance was, I mean, not kind of with a fairer sex. I was not having any inclination was there, but I had good friends in ladies also.
Okay, so he didn't have that kind of a problem also. Mercury is definitely Mercury retrograde and Ketu retrograde gives him the good thing for in his life. Okay. Now this one point I remember all the time. When two retrograde grahas combined together won't give you any harm to you. Instead, it will give you the boost in your life. Okay. Now let's see the other heroes. Now here is an interesting thing. Now the Ketu is the retrograde here, but the Sun is not retrograde. And this is at the 11 degree, and this is the 24.55. So it is not within the plus or minus 5 degree range. So it won't harm him that much. But definitely the Ketu Suryan impact will be in his life. Okay, now we'll see this. Ketu goes towards the Sun. Anybody remember what is the significance of Ketu?
Detachment.
Detachment. And he's also Jnanakaraka, the wisdom. Okay, when you observe there are the three grahas which involved in the intelligence. Buddhism is a kind of the acquired knowledge. It studies and it gets the knowledge from somebody. It is from you getting the intelligence from everybody. It can be come from books, it can be come from your studies, it can be come from your gurus. When it comes into the Guru Graha, the intelligence is come from the wisdom. The intelligence is comes, it's a kind of you are applying your knowledge into your life. The wisdom will come on its own. The Ketu is different. You get the jnanam out of it. That means you walk towards the moksha. That your wisdom is blossoming. That's why you walk towards the moksha path. Okay, here is an interesting thing. Ketu is also a planet which gives you detachment in everything, in your relationship, in your material affairs, in your body related stuff, whatever it is. It makes you to remember, okay, detached from it. That kind of the mentality it will give. Okay, this is the significance of the Ketu Graha. There is also other things in the Ketu, but okay, one important thing about the Ketu Graha, at this moment, I thought I can boldly say this one, because this one, at this moment, we are a little bit matured in the astrology. If any planet combined with the Rahu and Ketu, it won't give you any goodness it's a blunt word, I know. When the Rahu was combining with any of the Graha, it won't give sweetness in your relationship. It won't give you goodness in your body. But when the Rahu combined with any Graha, it will give you materialistic things in very good way, and it is also in a larger amount. The prosperity will comes in a different ways. You will achieve materialistic, but you will lose from your body level. You will lose from the relationship level. When it comes into the Ketu, everything goes bad. you won't be you won't kept your relationship in check. You let go of the relationship. You won't mind your body how it was growing. You will eat. You won't be mind your body as well, and you won't detach from materialistic affairs also. So that's why when the Ragu Ketu combines in Taini Graha, it won't give you any kind of the goodness. But it's also perspective of an individual. Some people will say, "Oh, Anita, let go. It's a wonderful thing. I'm seeing it as I'm seeing it as a very goodness in my life." That's awesome. It depends. But understand this basic way. When any of the graha combined with the Ragu and Ketu, it won't bring any kind of the goodness. It won't increase the auspiciousness also. No, it won't. Okay, keep that in mind. So that is an base level of your knowledge. We are going to increase that. So Ketu, we understand this. Now we have the Surya in it. Now, anybody remember the significance of the Surya?
Father,
Father,
leadership,
leadership, and any kind of an administration, your dreams, everything comes into here, right? And Surya was a kind of an graha which asks you to achieve everything. This is the dream, a dream of go ahead and achieve. That will give you the courage. That will give you the motivation to do whatever you want to achieve in your life. And it also makes you the good leader. Now, this is the situation here. When the Ketu combines with the sun. Okay, now we have to check with him. Let's see about the Jataka or the Ketu and the Surya combination. The Surya is also father. So he may have the distance between his father in the relationship level, or wherever both are living in two different locations, which you have to be traveled for very and to reach home. So let's check with him which one is correct. How was your relationship with your father? It's very good or very bad?
It was good till my 36th age. It was very good.
Mm.
After marriage and after 3-4 years, I had to move out of the house.
Mm.
And after that, there was until my mother was there, the relationship was very good. After my mother passed away, in another 2 years, it became very bad. So, and I moved out of the house also with my family, and that's it. And afterwards, it became estranged. Me and my father's relationship was estranged, not so very close.
Mm. So the moon was safeguarding your relationship with your father and the son. But once the moon light was not observed by the Jataka, then this will take into effect. Okay, now what about your leadership and administration skills? You feel like, okay, I want to be a good leader and I want to achieve this, that thing, everything in the life. And
Yeah, it was very much there. I was a very good manager. So it was administration was very good, and my team handling was very good.
No. Look into your emotion. You feel like you want to lead that, or you feel like no. Oh, what is this? What is this administration? What is the leadership? In an inner subconscious mind, you always ask the why question. Why I have to do this? Why the peoples were yearning? Why I have to earn money? Why the peoples are dominating one people with another? This kind of the mindset will come. I'm asking the question: is this
Yeah, it comes all on. Normally, it comes.
the Ketu energy will give you ask you to why questions and everything. So
Yeah.
why I have to
Is
yearn
it
money?
necessary to lead the people like that? It happens.
Yes, because the Ketu energy will always be there. That will
I try to isolate myself at times. It's like that,
all.
but I don't isolate. But if it's a task is being given, I take it up and I do it. That what to say, the dedication to the job is very much there. The goal, ultimate goal has to be reached. That will be there. But in the middle, these kind of thoughts will come. Why should we be taking care of these people? Why should we be advising them? And all those things will happen.
the why question, it won't be go away from you, because the Ketu was sitting in your sixth house, and along with the Surya, you will ask the question in everything. And sometimes people will think, suppose if you ask the questions to yourself, none of the people will think about you. But if you exhibit your questions in front of everybody, people will ask, okay, he's the person ask why questions in everything.
Yeah. And at times my ego also flares up at times without even control at times. But after a few, say, hours or something, I'll be really very normal, and I'll be down to earth. It happens like that. My ego flares up at times.
Means you exhibit your ego in a very good way or bad way? Or
In a good way only, most of the time.
So when
it is for the goodness of the purpose, I have to show my ego at that times. I want to get the task completed.
Okay, this is about the Jataka. When the Ketu Surya combination was coming, but when you see into the people's life, the people will say it, everything looks fine. But you have to check how you're feeling. That will give you the exact answer. The Ketu is such a kind of a person. It makes you to not only in the job, it makes you to ask questions in everything. Why? Why I'm saying that? Because when the Surya was, now we are coming into the, okay, let's finish before coming into the Surya, I have to finish one more thing. Now we understand about the Jataka. Now there is also one more thing. Your grandfather, let's not go into that situation. Okay, your father involved in any kind of an politics or religious entity. He lead the religious entity, or he involved in the politics. Anything comes into it?
He was a good businessman, and in that from the end, 10 years stage before, during end stages of 10 years around, he was the president of our community. He was doing the community service, and he was heading that community.
When the Ketu Surya combination was there, the father will be like this only. At least 10 years of time, at least 1 year of the time, they have to spend their lifetime to the society. That will come.
Yeah, he did very well. Yeah, he did very well on that.
Yeah, these people did very well. Why? The Ketu gives the energy, because the Ketu was telling, okay, he's not doing for himself, he's doing for others. So the Ketu energy is highly potential, and it will give you that kind of the tremendous energy inside him, and the father can give that energy to the universe, to the society as well. Okay, now this is about the Ketu and the Surya combination. Kind of good, kind of bad. Okay, now let's coming into see about the Ketu in the Sun combination in a different perspective. Now the Surya is also owner of the third house. There is no graha in it, so definitely Surya plays a role in the third house also. Anybody remembers what is the significance of the third house?
Children.
No.
Third house, children?
Sorry. Younger siblings. Younger siblings, yeah. Courage.
Siblings, courage, correct.
Communication.
Siblings, correct. Communication. Short travel. Anything else? Okay. Now we have to come and see how these kind of the things the Ketu get into it. The Ketu will give the obstacle and the struggle in all the significance of the third house. If you try to make a short journey, the Ketu will give some kind of an obstacle. Okay, how is your relationship with your younger siblings? So do you have
I'm the youngest.
You are the youngest. So suppose in case then you don't have an younger sibling, so you no need to see into that kind of a scenario. Let's moving into the another. How is your courage level? You feel like you're courageous all the time. That's needs in your life. Definitely at this moment you passed different phases of your life, different aspects of your life. So sometimes you feel like I didn't have the courage. I didn't have the courage to execute this kind of a situation in my life. I didn't have any courage to oppose this person. I didn't have any courage to finish this task. Do you feel anything like that in any point in time in your life?
Yeah, it's almost every time that happens, whether I have the courage or not, I keep thinking. But if I have to take a stand and I have to face it, I face it very bravely. But before taking the step, I feel scared at time, most of the time.
Because the Ketu, when it was in the third house, it gives an obstacle in every aspect of you, every significance of the third house. You can clearly see in your relationship if you have an younger sibling. So if you don't have, you're lucky in that. Then it will touch you the courage. Then it will touch you the travel, which you whenever you go for a short travel, one or the other way, it may get postponed, or it involves with somebody, and it may cost you much higher than whatever you expected. Some of the things comes when you planned for a short travel. Do you encounter any kind of a situation?
I not like that, ma'am. Most of the time it goes off well, but maybe to God's grace it happens. I don't know.
Oh, then good. Then good. Okay. When comes into the third house, the Ketu will do its job one way or another. If one significance was, if you understand, okay, the Ketu was plays a role here, keep check on that. If you feel that, okay, my short travel is really good and I don't find any disturbance in that, keep going on. Don't worry about that. So whenever you find out, okay, there was a courage, the Ketu was keep checking in the courage level, then the best thing is, whenever you had that kind of a situation in your life, pray to the Lord Ganesha, that too particularly, in our side, the place which is called Pilayarpatti. The Pilayarpatti Vinayagar was most famous, and I don't know you heard that or not.
Yeah, it's very much we know it.
Yeah, and whenever you find time, at least once in a year, come and visit the temple. It will give you the tremendous energy. Because when the Ketu combination with the Sun and the Ketu combination with the Mercury, this is the best place. Okay. Then comes into it's in the Vrichika Rasi, and that too, the Ketu was present in it. When the Ketu was present, the Ketu didn't have a head. So you have to, if you are following the goddess, which didn't have a head. And I remember you told about the Varahi one time.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So then that is the best option. So because the Vrishika Rasi is the female energy, and that too when you submit your prayers towards the god which didn't have a god or goddess which didn't have a head, that you can reach that higher energy very easily. Okay. Until now, any doubts on that?
I wanted to ask you one thing, ma'am. You said sixth house becomes the seventh house of the partner. And also it becomes the father's Rajasthana, that is 10th house. So if suppose it is strong or it is weak, how will it will affect that 7th house and 10th house?
Every house, it destroys the preceding house.
I know that, ma'am. So suppose my 6th house is weak, or is it a strong Bhava or weak Bhava? You do the calculation. So will it be affecting the 7th house? And how will it be affecting the 3rd house?
Okay. When you see this one, right, when the Ketu was present in any of the Rashi, that is going to give you the kind of a struggle and kind of an obstacle in your life. And if you ask me, okay, this is the strongest one for me or not. When you try to do the Ketu related work, it won't give you the harmness. But as well as the Mercury was retrograde in it and the Ketu was retrograde in it, it was a strong one here. This one is a strong. But importantly, the important Graha, Sun, which is combined with the Rahu, this is not a good sign. It will give you, that's why it will check your inner thing in a different way. The Sun is the soul also. The people will call it as a Sun as an Atma Karaga. When the Sun was present along with the Ketu, it's not a good sign. Like most of the time, it will you doubt yourself. You imagine a situation. You feel you wished for a confident in a 1 to 10 scale. Okay. But when the Ketu was present, it reduced the confidence level first. It completely erased the confidence level. So if that was then a strongest Bhava in sixth house, then that is also present in the sixth house. Mostly this is at this moment, this is not strong. But when comes into, okay, all the time at this moment when the beginning level, try not to look your Jadakam for the others. Take the relevant horoscope and see that carefully. Why I included this point here? Because this is for our remembrance only, so that we can understand what is happening. How you can understand from here? If the two things comes in my mind. When we discussed about the fourth house, I asked you to take a loan. But when you see the sixth house telling don't take loan. Okay. But here is the thing. Why you don't take loan? When the Mercury combined with the Ketu combined with the Sun means you won't, when you take a loan, that won't give a good benefit for you. And another thing, you won't find a good friends when you that the process which is involved in the loans. Okay? And that one, when you going for a business partnership, and this losses will tell you greater level, because the imagine a situation you are involved in a joint venture. Okay, now this Rashi is going to tell about the partners' losses. That means whichever the loss they are going to make in the business, it is defined in your sixth house. If you ask me, this is a good thing or not? It defines the losses very well. So try not to get into the what is that joint ventures. It defines the losses in a greater level, and that too, if you are try to take a loan because of the business, that's not good also. It may give you the different losses in a different level. This much clear?
Vanita, one question here.
Yes.
When we talk about partnerships, we see the seventh house. And the seventh lord here is Jupiter, which is in the first house, which is in a good position. So why do we have to see the sixth house here and say that there will be losses due to partnership?
Okay, wait. That's why I thought I should not include before that also. But okay, there's two things here. This is the house which is representing your spouse, partners, business partners, your colleagues, everything. Okay. And here, when the Mars was present in it, and the Jupiter, the Rashi Adhipati, the seventh Adhipati, which is present in the Lagna Adhipati, and was directly aspecting the seventh house. But this point, which I mentioned for the sixth house was, okay, whichever the house is in front, this house will destroy it. This goes for every houses. The seventh house destroy the eighth house. Eighth house destroy the ninth house. Ninth house destroy the 10th. 10th will destroy 11. 11 will destroy 12. 12 will destroy to 1. This is a circle. Okay. Whenever you try to open a business or join venture, you have to see the seventh house one. Suppose if you are trying to make the joint ventures, you have to include the seventh one. Suppose if you are going to create a business, you have to see first house, second house, and your seventh house as well as your 11th house. So all this combination, which if it was everything was saying yes, then taking a business was good. And this one, what I told you, this one will distract the previous house. That's why I included this book. This is depicting if the partners, which is the joint ventures, which is involved, and if there was any losses, that is represented here. I'm not saying it will give you the losses. There is a difference, right? This is the bit. Give me a second. Okay, this is the business which we are going to do. This is the business which we are going to do. And if this business which is going to give you the losses, particularly from the partners, that will tell you here. Okay. There is a difference, right? You got the point?
So if you are doing business alone, then we are good. But if you're doing it with partners, then have to be aware of the losses because previous
Exactly.
house is causing trouble here.
Not previous house was, that is the nature. See,
And the combination is not good in this particular
yes,
case. Okay, got it.
See, now when see in the Satish horoscope, I ask him to take the loan here because of the fourth house. The fourth house lord, which is in the sixth house, so it is better to take loan. Okay, here is the point. Then you ask me, why, Monica, you said that? See, when the retrograde, when the fourth house adipati, which is in the sixth house, means it will give you the sixth house significance one way or another. Disease, enemies, and the loan. Which among these three, which you can control? Obviously, loan you can control. You can't control the enemies. You can't control your disease. I mean, you don't want instead of control. You don't want anybody as your enemies. You don't want anybody as your any diseases into your body. But you can with awareness, with all the information you have, you can take a loan. With, in a intention, you can close it off in a particular amount of year, but you have to be disciplined in that. If that condition was checked, then taking a loan is best for you. But when it comes into seeing the sixth house, clearly saying don't take loan. Okay, why? Because the Ketu was present in it. It won't give you any goodness when you're trying to take a loan. It may give you it won't the energy won't makes you to finish the loan as quick as possible. But when you take the loan for the purpose, for the significance of the fourth house, consider a situation you are taking for a personal loan. You want to close this loan very easily. But if you take the loan for the home, definitely you will close the loan very easily. This difference is can easily understand, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you just explain the sixth one? You have put 10th house for 9th. I did not get that.
Oh, okay. Here, see. This is the 9th house for Satish, right?
Yes.
9th house is represent your father-in-law, gurus, correct?
Correct.
Now we are trying to find out which one represents the job, the profession or the job. From the 9th house, count this is 7. This is the job for the father, which is he worked under somebody, because then from the 9th house, the 6th house for the 9th house. So this is the job for the father. If you try to find the 7, 8, 9, 10, this is the profession for the father from the 9th house. You count from here, this becomes the 10th house for the father.
Okay.
This is clear?
Yeah. When you say, you make it so simple. But when you say it, you make it so simple. But if I think on my own, I get all muddled up. So
Your point of reference has to be clear.
yes.
It happens all the time. Okay. Okay, this much clear, right? Let's move into our today's class. And this is about the 6th house. Okay, from the next week, I'm going to include one more concept. I thought to include here this week also, but I felt it was too overwhelmed. We try to find out how many graha combinations you can find from one chart. We'll find at the end of the 12 houses how many graha combinations which we can find out from the Satish horoscope. Like how currently how many things we can find out. Jupiter and the moon, Mercury, Ketu, Sun. Almost we find out the 3 more combinations, right? There is also different combinations when the based on the Kala Purusha also. We'll see that on the next week. Okay. Now we're moving into the today's class. I skipped the introduction of the Saturn. We already remember Saturn's introduction. I quickly getting into the first house revision. Saturn in the first house is really good, but if it is but good and bad same time. If the Saturn in the first house people didn't follow any pattern, if they didn't discipline their life in the earlier lifetime, in the earlier age itself, they become lazy. They procrastinate everything. They do the work very slowly. But if you made the person, if they change the life pattern or habits in the earlier age itself, they become very much potential. They are very much studious in work. They can do all kind of the hard work. Okay. Now let's see about the second house set. Now let's see about the second house. We know about, anybody remember second house? Second house for
Wealth.
second house for Dhanasthana.
Set of
Your liquid assets in your hand, your in the interest in your food,
And speech
your speech comes in the second.
and your domestic comforts.
Your domestic comforts also second house. Okay. Now with that thing, now the Saturn is a disciplined one. We have a good judgment in everything. The Saturn knows which is good, which is right, which is wrong, and he always stands in the middle. This is the person who follows the rule very efficiently, and this is the one side of the Saturn. The other side is he's very lazy, slow and move, and he does the work, but he's a very hard worker. No one can match the hard working for the Saturn. Okay. So this kind of the Saturn was sitting in the second house. What it will do? Before that, we'll see what is the Saturn aspects. Saturn have 3 aspects, right? 3, 7, and the 10. Okay. From the second house, 3, 4, 5, it aspects the fourth house. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Now, seventh aspect, 8. And the last aspect, 10. That becomes the 10th, 11th house for the Jataka. Now, we are considering the Mesha Lagna. So, Mesha Lagna, Saturn in the second house, it has 3 aspects. Aspect to the 4th house, 8th house, and the 11th house. Okay. Now, what is the 4th house significance? Mother, land, asset, your vehicles, all kind of the property comes in the 4th house. 8th house, accidents, surgeries, and occult signs, any kind of the hidden treasure comes in the 8th house. 11th house becomes your fulfillment of desires, your luck comes in the 11th house. Now, these all the things which you can have in your life. Now, the Saturn knows aspecting what it will become. When the second house Saturn was present, these peoples are very much microfinance. Whatever they had in their finance, they micromanage it. Micromanage means they do at the level, they won't miss a single paisa also. That much they micromanage their finance. Probably these peoples will have the very large family. Second house is also for the family. These peoples may have the very big family when the Saturn in the second house. Okay, when aspect to the fourth house, the one important thing we have to remember about the Saturn is it's distance from everything. It's distance from your relation. It's distance from your comforts. It's distance from every way in your life. So then the fourth aspect, distance with your mother, and he won't get comforts at the young age also. So that because the fourth house is also represents your young age. So that age there is a higher possibility. Even you have a number of the luxuries in front of you, you won't accept that, or you keep the distance from it. For an example, you born in a well-versed family and you have your entire wardrobe was filled with the numerous dresses, but you have a Saturn in the second house. You don't feel like you are the luxury dresses or extra decorated dresses. You go with a very simple. You keep the distance from the comforts in every way. I'm just giving a dress as an example. It becomes your habit. It becomes your nature. You don't. Even you have a car. You tend to go with a cycle. Or else you go by walk. That kind of the comforts you keep the distance or make it as a habit from your early age. Then comes in the 8th house. Okay, when the Saturn aspect the 8th house. Okay, when the Saturn aspect the 8th house is a good one because that gives you the good life in you. It increases the number of the years you have to live in this universe. So 8th house aspect for the Saturn is really good. Now comes into the 11th house. Everything which will be delayed. Even if you're going to gain, you feel that you will gain very big amount in the business, but definitely that will be delayed. But even though if it was delayed, but you will get a huge amount of the gains in the later life. But how much it will be delayed, that much you can get benefit out of it. 11th house, some people will say it's a bad one, aspecting, but even if you get the benefits or the gains in a delayed fashion or delayed manner, it will be prolonged with you for an in number of years. Imagine a situation you gain the luck or you gain the kind of the desire in your early age. It won't be with you for a longer time, or else you will get a different kind of a struggle in your life because you are because of the thing which is already achieved in the milestone, the delaying process was not maintained in your life. So the delaying is also kind of a karma, but that is also the kind of goodness in your life. Okay.
And also 11th house becomes the for the Lagna becomes the Badhagasthana also, right?
For this Saralagna, yes, Badhagasthana.
So
Yes.
double effect, double impact.
But whichever they get in a delayed days or delayed years, whatever the benefits they are going to get, that will be good for them.
Okay.
But if they get in the early age, if the delaying process was not in their lifetime, that will give you some kind of the troubles in other aspects in their life.
Okay.
Okay, these people are very, very organized and disciplined, and particularly in the family environment. Okay, now coming into the 3rd house. 2nd house is easy, right? I guess so. Okay, now come into the Saturn in the 3rd house. It's the most favorable position for the Saturn. When the Saturn was in the 3rd house, it's very good. Okay, now we understand first what is the 3rd house? 3rd house is your aim, ambition, courage, your interest or passion in your art and culture, your communication, your neighborhood, or your colleagues. Everything in the 3rd house. Okay. The courage is nothing but it's not represented by the word. You have to feel inside you the inner feeling how courage you have. The peoples may exhibit the fear in the face, but they have the tremendous courage inside. These people can achieve anything. That kind of the courage, when the 3rd house is Saturn can give. The Saturn is a kind of a disciplined, hardworking person. That kind of energy was sitting in your 3rd house. Okay. Now, when that kind of an energy was sitting in a 3rd house means you're very much creative and heavy in the voice. You can easily understand when the voice was different. When you feel you can understand the voice from okay, this is male, this is female, but they somebody will have the different kind of the tone. Or somebody have the different unique tone, unique vocal chord structures. You can easily understand when they utter a song, you can feel the difference. Definitely they will have the Saturn in the 3rd house. I had some of the singers which I felt like I don't know how many of you know. There was a one Murugan song singer in Tamil Nadu. He have a very very different tone. The people will call him as a person who's having the I forgot the name. The price because of his voice.
Sirkai Govindarajan?
I guess so, because I forgot his name as well. He sang number of Murugan songs, and when he sing that kind of Murugan songs, nobody can match with.
Or it could be T.M. Soundarajan.
I don't really remember
Okay,
his name.
ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
But the voice was different, entirely was different. So most of the time I feel that, okay, he's a Saturn in the third house. In surroundings, the people around you also, you can easily understand them. If you have the heavy voice and the difference in the voice, they have definitely the Saturn in the third house. And these people are very much fond of writing, art, and the painting. Because why? The Saturn is mostly towards the divine thinking. So Saturn mostly thinks about, and if you want to step towards the divine thing, his interest towards the divine nature and understanding about the cosmos is tremendous. So he's fond of writing, art, and painting is very much highly valuable when the people so exhibit that kind of a talent. Okay, this is the one bad thing about this Saturn in the third house. The third house is for also in the relationship inner siblings, and here, and they definitely have the strained relationship because the Saturn is not a person to maintain the smooth relationship with everybody, particularly with the Bhavas, which is Saturn. The third Bhava is for this inner siblings, and they don't have the good relationship with them. Okay. And success in their own business, truly, yes, they can do that. Okay. Now comes into the aspect. Okay. See, the third aspect, which is for the fifth house, and the seventh house for the ninth house, and the 10th house for the 12th house. Okay. The fifth aspect will give you the creative skills. The fifth house is also for the creativity. When the Saturn aspect says it increases creativity. Ninth house for the travel for the work and the business, it increase that because whichever the significance for the Saturn, it increase that energy. Saturn is for work, Saturn is for business. So when your ninth house is for travel, it increase the travel for your work and business. And the 12th house, foreign travel and the settlement and the interest in spirituality, occult lead in the life. Okay, I already told you the Saturn always think and step towards the divine. The Saturn energy wants to be involved with the spirituality. That's why when among the grahas, the Saturn is the only planet which called as the Sanishwaran. The Ishwaran, but the Ishwaran title won't give to anybody. The people who are highly evolved person, highly involved in the spirituality, they can achieve that kind of a state. The another the most Adishwaran, the Ishwaran we call it the Shiva only Ishwaran. They are highly evolved. When they sit in the yoga, they can create a different kind of the cosmos energy.
Ravana was also an Ishvara.
Who's that?
Ravana.
Ravana Asura.
Yeah,
Ravana.
his actual name is Ravaneshwaran.
Who's that?
Ravana was called Ravaneshwaran. In Ramayana also it is quoted as Ravaneshwara.
Ravana Asura, they won't call.
Ravaneshwara.
Ishvara won't give, Ishvara title won't give to that kind of, I don't think the Ravana was can hold that. The Ishwaran title give to the peoples who don't harm the peoples, who don't harm the peoples in any universe, any dimension. They will be in a judgment, not judgmental. They balance between even if you are a good person or a bad person, they maintain the judgmental level. That kind of the qualification you need for that, but I don't think Ravana will have that.
Ravana is a great bhakta of Shiva, right?
Yeah, that was an obsessive spirituality, but he didn't have a discipline. He didn't have. This is totally my perspective. For me, I don't treat the Ravana as then kind of an Ishwaran status. I don't think so. The Ravana story is totally different. Maybe the spelling of Ravana Ishvara can be misspelled. I don't know. But when you achieve that Ishwaran status, they had a kind of the tendency. Maybe the Ravana had an ability to sit in a yoga for a while, but he didn't have an ability to control his own anger, own jealousy, own greediness. He didn't have that. But when it comes into the Saturn, it's not like that. If he can able to control the jealousy, greedy, all kind of the negative emotions, he's the best person. He can control all kind of the emotions, all kind of the negative energy in a fraction of a second. And put in front of him, he treat everybody as an equal. That nobody can do that, but Saturn can able to do.
No, the people with Ishvara title are Vigneshwara, Shanishwara, Ravaneshwara, and Chandikeshwara. No one else.
Chandikeshwara, Vigneshwara. Vigneshwara, Vinayaga can achieve anything. Vinayaga was in a different energy level. Okay, we are talking about the grahas only, among the Navagrahas. The Guru Bhagavan only, Rahu Bhagavan only, Ketu Bhagavan only. Ketu, the people will call this the Ketu Maharaj, Rahu Maharaj. And among the Navagrahas, Shani Ishwaran, he got only. But when it comes into the Devatas, when it comes into the god and goddesses, there are the number of the god and goddesses can achieve that. That was totally different story. But when it comes among the Navagrahas, the 9 powerful creatures, Saturn energy is totally different. It makes you to detach. It makes you to go away from everybody. They keep a distance from everybody. Even though if you are living in a home full of the family, even though you have the very large family, these people detach from everybody. These people can distance from everybody. They lead a very simple life. Even they have the number of the luxuries in their life, they can able to live the humble life. Okay, that's what I learned about the Ishwaran thing. Maybe I'm not sure. I didn't have that much of knowledge in other Ishwaran names. Okay, come back to the 12th aspect. The spirituality is really high. When even though in the people will say, I didn't have an idea about the spiritual and I'm not interested in spirituality. But when the Saturn was aspecting the 12th house, when the Saturn was sitting in the 12th house, even you like it or not, the spirituality will touch you at least once in your lifetime, or you can taste the spirituality once in your lifetime. You can't get away from it. Okay. I thought to finish at least the 5 houses. Okay, we start from the 4th house from next week. Till now, any doubts? Yes, no?
No.
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay, awesome. Okay, we'll see you all next week then.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you.
so
Okay,
much.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.